This is CBN NewsWatch.
It is Monday, September 21st. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, the beginnings of an historic battle in Washington, the fight to replace the late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Democrats say it is too close to the elections to begin the process, while the president and Republicans say it is their constitutional duty. It could be the most brutal Supreme Court nomination fight ever. Hashtag cancel Netflix. That became the rallying cry on social media after Netflix debuted a French film called Cuties that critics say sexualizes young girls. Taking on censorship, conservatives, after years of complaining of online censorship by big tech companies, now coming together to fight back. And more worship gatherings, more salvations and healings, even though area authorities tried to stop these meetings in major cities. All those stories and more are ahead in this edition of CBN NewsWatch. We want to begin this half hour with a developing battle in Washington to replace the late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, as Senate Republicans take on the task of confirming a new justice before the end of the year. They're not only facing full-throated Democratic opposition, they also need to make sure enough Republicans are on board. Even if the Republicans succeed, the battle, though, is not over. As Paul Strand reports in this in-depth report, Democrats are pledging overwhelming retaliation if they retake the Senate come November.
Democrats are doing all they can to stop President Trump and the Republican-controlled Senate confirming a replacement for Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. They're charging the GOP with hypocrisy because Senate Leader Mitch McConnell has pledged to bring the nominee to a vote, even though he wouldn't act on Barack Obama's final Supreme Court nomination in his last year.
I'm going to be working this week to reach across the aisle and see if I can't persuade some friends to respect tradition, to respect the precedent they set in 2016, and to let the voters decide.
Please follow your conscience. Don't vote to confirm anyone nominated under the circumstances President Trump and Senator McConnell have created.
But Republican Senator Ted Cruz said the precedent has always been if the White House and Senate are controlled by the same party, the confirmation process goes forward. He insisted that's particularly important now because the court really needs 9 justices who might end up picking the winner in this hotly contested presidential election year.
We need a full court on Election Day, given the very high likelihood that we're going to see litigation that goes to the court. We need a Supreme Court that can give a definitive answer for the country.
This battle, though, could all be moot if 4 Republican senators refuse to vote for a nominee before the election. And 2 have already taken that position, Maine's Susan Collins and Alaska's Lisa Murkowski. If a majority will vote, though, the question still remains, can the Senate get this confirmation done in time?
The average is probably in the 60s and 70s in terms of number of days, but it's certainly there's well more than that amount of time before the end of the year, and that's what Leader McConnell has committed to. He said we're going to have a vote before the end of the year.
President Trump said this weekend he'll move quickly on a nominee.
We will uphold equal justice under the law for citizens of every race, color, religion, and creed. I will be putting forth a nominee next week. It will be a woman. It will be a woman.
Everyone expects a nasty battle because if Trump nominates a solid conservative, it will tilt the court in their favor 6-3.
I think that this is going to make the Kavanaugh confirmation hearing seem like a dust-up. Because if President Trump is the person who will appoint Justice Ginsburg's replacement, you're going to be replacing a liberal icon.
One thing it proved was that no matter who the nominee would be, as long as President Trump nominated them, that Democrats would do whatever necessary to obstruct their confirmation, whether that's lie or whatever tactics necessary.
2 candidates said to top the president's list, Barbara Lagoa, a Cuban-American on the 11th Circuit Court, and 7th Circuit Judge Amy Coney Barrett, a runner-up to Brett Kavanaugh's last go-around. Americans United for Life's Catherine Glenn Foster says Barrett's a solid constitutionalist.
She is not someone who is going to act as a judicial activist, who is going to substitute her own personal preferences for our nation's founding principles.
Ginsburg spent much of her life fighting for the equal treatment of women. Foster says Barrett may be conservative, but her balancing of work and family honor what Ginsburg wanted for women.
It would be very beneficial to all Americans, to all women, and really be an honor to the legacy of Justice Ginsburg to have a young mother on the court, a mother of 7.
The third-ranking Republican senator, though, warns that Democrats will take vengeance if this nomination goes through, and then they take power.
Chuck Schumer has been very clear. The Democrats have been very clear. If they win the White House and the Senate, all bets are off. They are going to blow up the filibuster. They are going to use the nuclear option. They are going to stack the Supreme Court.
The president has said he'll pick a nominee this week. Paul Strand, CBN News, reporting from the Supreme Court.
And to display how severe this battle could get in Washington, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is warning she is taking nothing off the table, even hinting at the possibility of impeachment.
We have arrows in our quiver that I'm not about to discuss right now.
But experts have pointed out every president who has faced an open Supreme Court seat in an election has put forward a nominee, and the Constitution does require a president to make a nomination. After that, though, it is up to the Senate. President Donald Trump once again warning mail-in ballots could overwhelm some states in the presidential election. Speaking Sunday on a Fox News program, he said mail-in voting could lead to chaos come November.
Ballots are missing, there's fraud. Now they have a new thing where they don't want to verify signatures because that makes it easier, so you don't have to verify a signature. You see that one in Nevada. It's a very tough situation. Where they just dump millions of ballots all over the country, it's not going to work. It's going to be a disaster, and they know it. They know it's not going to work. It doesn't even work when you have 30,000 ballots, and we're talking about many millions of ballots. It's going to be mayhem, it's going to be bedlam, and this is what they want.
And on the other side of the race, Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden is putting together a team of attorneys in anticipation of court challenges to the election that could ultimately determine who wins the White House. Biden's campaign says the legal war room will work to make sure elections are properly administered and votes are counted correctly. An arrest in the case of the deadly poison ricin being sent to President Donald Trump. That poison was sent in an envelope addressed to the president. It was intercepted earlier in the week before it reached the White House. The woman was taken into custody by U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers at the Peace Bridge border crossing with Canada near Buffalo. She's expected to face federal charges. The letter appeared to have come from Canada. Ricin is a deadly toxin which can cause organ failure. I want to turn now to severe weather the country is facing. We've run through 21 Atlantic hurricane names already this year. So now the National Hurricane Center is using the Greek alphabet for new name storms. The latest tropical storm Beta tracking through the Gulf of Mexico, heading for the Texas-Louisiana coastline. It's expected to bring flooding, rainfall, and storm surge. George Thomas has the details on this and the raging fires in Southern California.
The water out here already over the road, so we're probably going to pack up and try to leave a little early.
On Highway 87 near Galveston, Texas, residents evacuating ahead of Tropical Storm Beta.
That little road over there has flooded just since we've been here.
John Marklin and Sonia Moore to the rescue, helping push this car after the owner got stuck in rising waters. Forecasters expecting Beta to bring flooding rainfall, storm surge, up to 60 miles per hour winds, and at least 15 inches of rain to parts of Texas and Louisiana through Wednesday.
We can expect surface flooding in all the usual spots.
In the low-lying areas of coastal Texas and Louisiana, folks still recovering from Hurricane Laura a few weeks ago, dealing with flooding streets again.
Starting to become monotonous because there's so much, it's like every month or every other week we're having to deal with this stuff.
Meanwhile, this was the scene in the mountains of northeast Los Angeles last night, where the Bobcat fire that's been burning for 2 weeks doubled in size in the last 24 hours. The 103,000-acre blaze leaving portions of the San Gabriel Mountains blackened, forcing more residents to flee ahead of fast-moving fires that have already claimed 36 lives.
Embers just lit up, so I started seeing flames, and it went down the hill really fast.
Residents urged to limit their outdoor exposure as firefighters on the ground battled the blaze to protect homes, while in the air, multiple planes dropped fire retardant. And check this out, a motorist capturing these dramatic images near the Big Pine Highway in Lago Vista as a smoke-tornado crosses the road. Fire officials say it could be a month before they can contain the Bobcat fire. And as if the fires weren't enough to deal with, residents of Southern California got a jolt late Friday night after a 4.5 magnitude earthquake hit near the city of El Monte, east of downtown LA. Thankfully, there were no serious injuries or damage. George Thomas, CBN News.
Want to turn now to Israel. People are grappling with a second coronavirus lockdown that began Friday afternoon, shortly before a long holiday weekend. Police set up roadblocks to stop non-essential intercity and crosstown travel. They said they'd given out nearly 7,000 fines to people who were not keeping the rules and regulations of the health ministry. The lockdown has closed stores, restaurants, and schools, but left some businesses open and reduced public transportation. Israelis are only permitted to travel 1 kilometer from their homes, except for essential services or on foot for exercise. Still, many Israelis are saying this lockdown does not feel nearly as strict as the previous ones. The new lockdown was imposed after the number of new cases soared around 5,000 per day, with more than 1,200 deaths so far. Israel's coronavirus cabinet is expected to meet tomorrow to discuss tightening those restrictions. Coming up, subscribers canceling Netflix because of the French film called Cuties that critics say hypersexualizes young girls around the age of 11. We're going to bring you the story on that controversy when we come back.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep as the world watches from the outside.
It's a big diplomatic tug-of-war here in the Middle East.
Go inside the story with Jerusalem Dateline.
Israeli archaeologists are talking about a discovery that could change the thinking about the Temple Mount.
Join CBN Jerusalem Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell and get the biblical perspective on the events shaping the world.
What starts in Israel then ends up going to other places.
Watch Jerusalem Dateline Friday night at 9:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Subscribers canceling Netflix is on the rise because of anger over the French film It's Called Cuties, and it's been heavily criticized for highly sexualizing young girls. It led to a trend on social media with the hashtag #CancelNetflix. The show debuted on September 9th, and within 3 days, cancellations soared to 8 times the daily average. Here now to tell us more about this is Dan Andros with FaithWire.com. So, Dan, what is the plot of this movie?
Yeah, well, the plot is it's a French movie, and it follows an 11-year-old protagonist named Amy, and she's a prepubescent kid who's hoping to escape her Senegalese family's deeply conservative, as they say, roots. That's really a reference to the strict Islam upbringing. And she does this by joining a twerking dance troupe that features a bunch of underage children. And the actual synopsis describes it this way. It says, Amy is suddenly made aware of her burgeoning femininity and encourages her fellow children to enthusiastically embrace an increasingly sensual dance routine as they hope to twerk their way to stardom.
Now, we're not only seeing cancellations, but reaction from lawmakers in Washington. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, several have spoken out. Tulsi Gabbard was one who issued a strong statement over social media. She said this was going to whet the appetite of pedophiles and help fuel the child sex trafficking trade. Senators Ted Cruz, Tom Cotton, and others all spoke out criticizing the film and actually calling for the DOJ to get involved and take a look at what's going on here with Netflix.
So now, has there been defense in the media for the film?
Yeah, this has been the really interesting part, to this whole saga is that it's sort of turned partisan somehow. You would think an issue like the sexualization of children would be a bipartisan, unified issue, but it's not. Apparently, a bunch of people that you could consider left-leaning, for example, in the Washington Post, 2 writers from there, another one from the New Yorker, called this a right-wing freakout over concerns of child pornography, and they said that it was. In one case, they said it's just because conservatives are uncomfortable with watching a young black girl in a feature role, and so somehow this has become a partisan issue for some, even though clearly the concern should be about the sexualization of these children.
So naturally, what is Netflix saying about that? Real curious.
Well, Netflix, this is an interesting arc here because initially just the movie poster came out. And so the movie poster was very provocative and featured young girls in very suggestive poses. And they said, oh, well, this is, not indicative of what's actually in the film. And they were kind of right because what was in the film was actually a lot worse than in the poster. And so they have come out now, though, and said that it's just a social commentary of the sexualization of young children, and quote, it's an award-winning film and a powerful story about the pressure young girls face on social media and from society more generally growing up. So they're defending the film, even though most people are saying, look, we're all for that point, but you don't make it by sexualizing children in the process.
All right, Dan Andros from faithwire.com. Thank you so much for your time. It is certainly much appreciated. I want to let you know that you can hear more about topics like this in the news on FaithWire on the CBN News Channel. You can find it this evening at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Still ahead, conservatives have long been complaining of online censorship by big tech companies. Now, some of them have decided they're going to take action and fight back. We're going to tell you what's happening. That story's coming up for you right after this.
October 1st, 1961, history was made when a tiny station began transmitting the first signals of the Christian Broadcasting Network.
CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network.
And now, a new era has begun with the all-new CBN News Channel.
Just moments ago, the Iron Dome intercepted an incoming rocket right on the Gaza border.
Administering in this area, spiritual warfare is definitely involved.
A 24/7 news network, bringing you the news you want from a source you can trust.
In Kenya, 40% of the medical services are actually provided by these Christian hospitals.
Let's talk about the economy.
Believers here are joining together to win people to Jesus Christ.
All your favorite shows now in one place. Go to CBNNewsChannel.com to find out how to get the CBN News Channel on your TV all day, every day. CBN News. Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Get the top political news and analysis from Washington on Faith Nation, tonight at 6 Eastern, only on the CBN News Channel.
Social media giants like Facebook, Twitter, and Google may deny it, but more and more conservatives say they're facing censorship. And as CBN's Paul Strand reports, now many of them are coming together to fight back.
The Conservative Media Research Center announced a new alliance that's going to fight the big tech companies over the censoring of conservative speech, websites, and people, all the way up to the president.
If they can do it to the president of the United States, they can do it to anyone. And in fact, that is exactly what's happening.
This new effort, Free Speech America, will track and report this censoring on its website, censortrack.org.
Mother Teresa is now deemed hate speech. Is this hate speech?
And they'll work with lawmakers like Tennessee Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn, who has also been censored by big tech social media.
We are no longer giving them the benefit of the doubt that what we are doing is holding them to account.
Who do the social media giants hit the worst?
Abortion is ground zero for the far left, and the right to life movement has no home in Silicon Valley. The pro-life movement couldn't advertise the Right to Life March.
These social media juggernauts also actively use their power to aid the left wing. One critic pointing to what Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg might well deliver for Joe Biden on Election Day.
An additional 450,000 votes that day just by sending out go vote reminders just to people who lean left.
Lawyer Kelly Shackelford sees this effort possibly steering victims to come down hard on these tech giants with crushing lawsuits.
All it takes is an attorney general in a number of these states to bring, and there are fines per incident per citizen. And so this could be a huge way to really get them under control.
When you have this kind of censorship, you really are threatening the democratic process in this country.
And that's why we need conservative individuals and organizations to reach out to us, let us know when they've encountered problems with tech companies.
Bozell says the censorship is so widespread it will take years, maybe decades, to wage this war with the tech giants. Paul Strand, CBN News, Washington.
Coming up, more salvations and healings as Sean Foyt's worship team travels to Chicago and Cleveland last week, and Tampa, Florida as well. We're going to have that story, including how police tried to stop them. We've got this full story for you when we come back. Stay with us.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Watch Studio 5 Wednesday night at 9:30.
Remember for a moment what it was like to be a child. You believed every story you were told. You saw a world full of endless possibilities. What stories will the world's orphaned and at-risk children believe? We believe the Bible tells the only story truly worth believing. We believe that every child should have the opportunity to dream. The chance to take challenges and turn them into possibilities. The chance to stand on the promises of God, to recognize their place in the greatest story ever told. They have their whole lives ahead of them. Theirs is a world of endless possibilities. They are looking for a story to believe. We will tell them that story. Will you join us?
It has the power to influence weight loss, boost your immune system, and improve brain function.
We've seen an explosion of data on the role of the gut microbiome in health.
The free Build a Better Gut booklet reveals the latest information about the gut microbiome. You'll discover how your gut affects the rest of your health.
The gut microbiome has been linked to depression and cancer and heart disease.
Learn how to build a stronger, healthier gut.
The microbiome, if it's in good composition, are really protecting us all the time from more invasive things.
Get the Build a Better Gut booklet, free from the Christian Broadcasting Network. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut.
You need to make sure that your microbes are working with you, not against you.
And if you order online, you'll get immediate access to the Build a Better Gut series, a digital copy of the booklet, and related bonus material. Build a Better Gut today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut for your free copy.
Region's first ROTC graduate student.
Thousands of Christians and seekers flooded the streets of South Chicago and Cleveland, Ohio, to seek and praise his name last week, despite police intervention. Worship leader Sean Foyt and evangelist Dr. Charles Kuruku arrived in Chicago Wednesday at the latest stop of this summer's Let Us Worship tour. The events have seen tens of thousands of people celebrating Jesus in outdoor worship gatherings around the country. In a video posted on Twitter, the Christian leaders explained police officers blocked the group from coming together, so the event was set up in the roadway.
Listen, 63 people were shot in Chicago this last weekend. 63 people shot, and they're concerned about Christians gathering to peacefully worship. This is what this city needs. The pastors and everyone else agrees. This is for you, Mayor Lightfoot.
Following that, Foyt traveled on to Cleveland for another worship meeting where more people were saved and healed. And then the team went on to Tampa, Florida, where they saw more salvations and miracles, including healings for those suffering from depression and feelings of suicide. For more on this story, including Sean Foyt's warning to Christians in America, simply visit cbnnews.com. Before we go, it is time for your Monday motivation, and we leave you with this thought as we embark upon a new week. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, and you are made in the image of God. Take a good long look in the mirror and see his reflection. With that word, be sure to make this a marvelous Monday, and you have yourself a wonderful week on purpose. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN News Watch. I want to remind you can always find more of our programs on the CBN News Channel or also online at cbnnews.com. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can email us at that address right there at the bottom of your screen, newswatch@cbn.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We'll see you back here tomorrow.